Well, now it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for lunch today. Colette Pichon-Battle is a generational native of Bayou Liberty, Louisiana. She founded the Gulf Coast Center for Law and Policy and led the development of programming focused on equitable climate disaster recovery, global migration, community economic development, and energy democracy for more than 17 years in the Gulf South. Colette now serves as the partner of vision and initiatives at Taproot Earth, a global climate justice organization working for a world where all people can live, rest, and thrive in the places they love. She serves on the Governance Council of the Southern Movement Assembly, co-chairs the National Water Equity and Climate Resilient Caucus with PolicyLink, serves on the steering committee of the Ocean Justice Forum, and is a lead architect of the 5-state multi-issue initiative Gulf South for a Green New Deal. Colette also helped to develop the 13-state Southern Communities for Green New Deal in the Southeast Climate and Energy Network and the Red, Black, and Green New Deal, the National Climate Initiative with the Movement for Black Lives. In 2022, Colette received the William O. Douglas Award, recognizing individuals who have made outstanding use of the legal judicial process to achieve environmental goals, particularly those with national significance. Her TED Talk on climate migration was ranked in the top 10 TED Talks of 2020. She was named a 2019 Obama Fellow for her work with the Black and Native communities. Colette chaired the 2021-22 Equity Advisory Group of the Louisiana Governor's Climate Initiative Task Force. She currently serves on the Catali Foundation's Environmental Justice Resourcing Collective, as well as sits on the boards of the U.S. Climate Action Network, Center for Constitutional Rights, Highlander Research Education Center, and Healthy Golf. She serves on the steering committee as well of the Resilience Roadmap Project. So please join me in welcoming Colette Pichon-Battle.
Sounds like I work on climate. That's what it sounds like. Bonjour, y'all. It's great to be here. I figured I could speak a little French. They told me there was some, French history here, and I just wanted to say hello to all of you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the love and generosity that I've received both from you and your city today. This has all been so great. Thank you to the organizers of this conference, especially those doing the work that we don't see. We call that feminine work. The work that you don't see, but you can feel, you're taken care of, things are in order, on time. I say thank you, especially to Gina. Great work. I was just clapping about the locally sourced food. I am already excited about this. And my thanks to Tim, who picked me up in the middle of the night last night from some airport somewhere far away and drove me here to make sure I got here. I bring peace to all of you from the Choctaw Nation in Southeast Louisiana. And I offer peace and respect to the peoples of this place, the Dakota Sioux, the Meskwaki, the Omaha, and the Ponca. I offer my peace and gratitude and respect to the land that I'm on. It's important that we acknowledge the indigenous place where we live, where we work, where we're standing, mostly because in this country, there's a lot to be reconciled. Those treaties haven't been honored, the land was taken, and we are living our lives, building our world on stolen land, and we have to at least acknowledge the territory that we're on. So I offer peace, and for those who want more discussion, let's get to it. It's time to start dealing with some of the original sins of this nation so that we can go forward in a more positive way. I also want to join the mayor and take a moment to thank the service staff who made sure we had something to eat today. I heard there was a vegan option, or it was all, I don't even know what's going on here. I love it. Was not expecting that, Iowa. Respect. I have vegan jokes, but I'm just excited about the option. But what I really want to say is giving a lot of love and respect to the essential people of our society. And in this moment where the title of essential really was, I think, used in a derogatory way at first, I think we all know now that we need the people who help us go and move. So let's just give them one more round of applause just for keeping us steady. And peace to all of you. I thought I was coming to Iowa to talk to Iowans, but I hear there are folks from other places here and Canada, a whole other world. So I say peace to all of you. Thank you for being here today. And thank you for going through this work. I've been able to see some of your agenda, and I know it means a lot of you are challenging yourselves to think different, to see things a different way. And I just want to say this is the work we need to see across our nation from all of our leaders in every city. It's no mistake that I'm talking to you after lunch. This was to lull you into a deep coma-like state so that I could challenge you. Usually when I get invited into these things, I like to just make sure folks know what they're getting into. First of all, are you sure? That's what I ask. Are you sure? Lunchtime keynote, I'll take it. I'll take it after they eat. And I'll just say to those of you who are going to hear some of what I have to offer for the first time, to just, for one moment, contemplate whether what I'm saying is true. I don't need you to agree. I just need you to hear me. And I'm hoping that you'll receive it with the love that I hope to offer it today. My job is to challenge, mostly because I work in climate, mostly because I live in the Gulf. And if you worked on climate and you lived in the Gulf, you would know the urgency of the moment in a different way. And so that's the place I come from with all of my heart. I also wanted to just say one final note of gratitude to the Mississippi River. I don't know if anybody went out to the river today, but I just want to say that I live on the other end of this great, mighty water. Mechachebe is what it was called by the indigenous folks in my neck of the woods, and it means big waters. And anytime I get to come to the big waters, wherever it is, it's an honor. And when I say honor, I don't just mean a nice moment. I mean it's actually an honor. And so if you have not paid your respects to the river, I want to really push you to do that, to take a look at that water, because that water is, it makes it all the way down to the end of the nation. It makes it all the way down to my neck of the woods, and it carries not only the things we'll talk about today in it, but it carries wisdom, it carries power, and that's what I hope that we can connect on today. The last time I was in Iowa, first of all, it wasn't this cold. Can we talk about it? No, not today? Okay, we won't talk about that today, but your southern friend, a little upset about little upset. But I hear that it'll change tomorrow, so I'll try to stick around for the warm. But I do want to say the last time I was here is when some colleagues and I, some friends, some sisters and I took a pilgrimage down the Mississippi River in 2020. We started at the headwaters in Minnesota, and we went all the way down to the mouth in Louisiana, and that took 7 months for us to do. We did it in the middle of COVID, Lord have mercy. Talk about driving through Iowa as a black woman in the middle of COVID and Trump, all that stuff. That was tough. That was tough. I have never been so encouraged and fearful all at the same time. It was really a moment. I mean, it's still a moment in our nation. There's no reason for us to pretend like it's not here. We're in this moment. Our nation is torn. Folks are in tension. We are also on the brink of a climate disaster that most of us don't have any time to pay attention to because milk is high, meat is high, bread is high, and folks are trying to survive. And I think what many people are experiencing right now is what folks, especially in the Black community and the Native community in the South, have been experiencing for a very long time. I heard many years ago there's a southernization happening of the U.S., where many folks are starting to see the conditions that exist and have existed in the South for a very long time. I don't want to welcome you into it. It is difficult. But I do want to let you know there are many, many communities and peoples who have survived much harder things, and we can too. But it's going to take an understanding of our connectedness, which is what I learned the last time I was in Iowa visiting this river. I remember one piece in particular that I think it's important to talk to you about, because we were in every stop reaching out to Native American women and Two-Spirit folk to ask for permission to do ceremony at the river for every stop. We were doing African ceremony and Native to Turtle Island ceremony at the river. Now, the whole purpose of this pilgrimage was so that we could rebuild our relationship with Mother Earth. Something has broken down. And the people who know that best are often people who are tied to their ethnic traditions. And so we pulled in people of the African descendancy, as well as folks who are of Turtle Island. We asked for permission to do ceremony at the river and we asked for the water to heal our country and to heal and to prepare us for what is still to come. We also took a minute to acknowledge that Black folks and Native folks have been pitted against each other in this country for a very long time, and that there's now a moment in this climate reality where folks are just anticipating Black folks and Native folks can just stand together and say the most righteous thing and we will go in that direction. But that is not the case. Many of us have been pitted against each other for a really long time. Think about where we are with our immigrant population. Think about where we are with folks with disabilities. Think about where we are with many different people in our communities that we have been told one way or another are less or of less value, or they're coming to get you, they're coming to take something from you. This is by design. This is by design. And we need to ask not just for permission, but to do acts of reconciliation, which is what we did at the river at all 7 stops. But what was most important about Iowa was that we found some folks who were native to this space, to this place, to this land. They had been removed to Oklahoma, and they had to fight to get their land back in Iowa. They bought their land back. They had to buy it back. And when they bought it back, they were doing an agricultural practice that was ancient to this land. It did not use fertilizers, it did not use pesticides, and it honored the river as a main source of life for the crops that they were bringing in. They were telling us about the fights they've been having with big agriculture here in Iowa. Now, I know talking about big ag in Iowa is talking about big oil in the Gulf. I know what's happening. I expect a whiskey at the end of this at some point for the courage I'm showing to talk about it. The truth is, y'all, we actually have to talk about big ag, and we have to talk about big oil. And in this neck of the woods, they come together. Because unlike the native ways of building crops and food and really creating that sustenance, we are now in an era of big ag, and big ag uses fertilizers and pesticides that are derived from fossil fuels. So down in the Gulf where I am, they are drilling oil, they are fracking gas, they are pulling it up, they are refining it in communities. Those communities are 80 times more likely to be Black, 100 times likely to be poor. They are refining the oil and gas, and they're using it for many products, including one of their largest production points, fertilizer and pesticides, which then comes up to Iowa, used on large corporate crops and big agriculture, not the local folks that you're eating from today, but these big corporate crops. They put this stuff on the crops, and then it rains. And the runoff goes into the river. And the river flows all the way down to Louisiana. And now at the mouth of Louisiana, we have a dead zone the size of the state of Delaware. And the dead zone means that fish can't live, plants can't live, and the main staple, the second largest product for Louisiana is actually fishing. So we got oil and gas and we've got fishing. We're drilling oil, we're making pesticides, this stuff goes on the crop, it runs all the way down. By the time this beautiful river gets to us, it is toxic. It is toxic. It is so toxic that the water where fish should swim, they cannot exist. And it is because we have a system that produces our food, some of our medicine, but it is rooted in a fossil fuel industry that is not only poisoning the people in South Louisiana, but it's accelerating a climate crisis and causing a global imbalance that we all now have to be a part of stopping. So I'm not saying that the charge will be easy. I'm telling you that the duty and the accountability is ours. If we are in this nation, if we are in this state, or in the state of Louisiana, or in any of the other 18 states and other nation that's here, we have to be a part of solving the problem. Now, solving the problem, we can't do it the same old way we solve problems. We can't have that one person telling everybody what to do and then everyone follows. We have passed that moment. We need bold action from everyone, everywhere, immediately. And we're gonna need the action really tied with a different understanding of where we wanna go. The biggest moment in the conversation of the indigenous woman from Iowa was when we actually had a conversation with her and indigenous people in South Louisiana. They had never met. These two nations that had been here since the beginning of this country and before had never met each other especially since we started seeing all of this stuff go into the river. They cried, y'all, because the folks in South Louisiana had to tell the folks in Iowa what is happening in your state and on your territory is killing us. It's taking our fish, it's poisoning our people, it's harming us. And what was sad was that the women from Iowa said, we can't control this big industry here that is on our land. We need your help. We've got to figure this out. It was a powerful moment because we realized that the first thing we have to address is how broken we are. We have broken down into that exceptional individual of America, but it is killing us. We have lost our collective. We have lost our community. We have lost contact with each other. The very first thing we have to fix, the very first thing you have to fix as you build sustainable communities is the community itself. This means we're gonna have to start talking to people we don't wanna talk to. I'm talking about that person with a different political view who really gets on your nerves. You know him? I know him. I invited him to gumbo. He likes gumbo. We all have to eat. We all have to talk. At some point, we have to get back to each other's humanity because there's something happening right now. And it's really sinister. It's a manipulation, a nationwide manipulation of your fear, a very natural and necessary emotion that you need to exist, but right now it's being manipulated. It's being manipulated to tell you that I am different from you. It's being manipulated to tell you that you are worth more than me. It's being manipulated to tell you that you're gonna be okay in this climate crisis while other people just made bad decisions and they won't be okay. Friends, you're being lied to. My job is to wake you up. My job is to let you know that you never want to experience what we experienced in Hurricane Katrina. You don't want to wait that late to get your community ready for what is coming. And you don't want to be the silent resident of this nation when your voice could change not only the fate of our country, but the fate of the world. We need you up, we need you in, we need you activated, and we need you fighting for the right things. What are the right things? Well, they're simple. I'm gonna ask for some support on slides, or maybe I have a little slide thing. One more? Thank you. This is just a simple step that I wanna offer on what's important. Water is important, energy is important, land is important. Our labor, how we understand labor and who does labor and what labor is, our economy, and our democracy. These are 6 pillars of climate justice that my organization, Taproot Earth, roots in. And we have to make sure that folks are clear. The climate crisis is, my friends, not about greenhouse gas in the air, invisible atmospheric changes. That is not what this is about. This climate crisis is about an economic system that drives profit incentives despite human existence, and sometimes destroying it. We have to think about this crisis in a different way. Who has access to water? Shouldn't everybody have access to water? Why are we asking a question about water? Aren't we all humans? Water is life, as our indigenous brothers and sisters remind us. Water is life. You mean you only have access to water if you have money? That is the system that we are in. The system that says you have to have money and pay a bill to have access to water. It's the way it's always been, right? Nope, it hasn't always been like that. There's an economic system driving a profit margin for people to have access to the one thing you need for life. And this is a problem. This means the solutions that you build cannot just build on top of a structure that exists. We need a whole new structure. I'm here to challenge you because maybe you don't believe that everybody should just have access to water. But I'm gonna tell you in a climate disaster, I'm gonna tell you in the worst moment of your community, you're gonna wish they did. You're gonna wish you had control of your water, and you're gonna wish you had control of your energy. Because when the power goes out, everything goes down, everything. Your food sources, your banking sources, your health, the things that you need to maintain and manage your health, they go down. And why don't we control our own energy? And who is making a profit off of the energy sources that we're using in this country? Why are there just 5 or 6 companies making billions of dollars off of a thing that is actually, if you really think about it, owned by all of us? It should be stewarded by all of us. Well, let's stop fighting about oil and gas because I want all of you to be against it anyway. I'll convince you at the bar later why you should be. But let's just move to renewable energy for a second, because I've been having some great conversations here in Iowa. Why don't we all have access to renewable energy? And why don't you have access to energy directly to your home or your business? And why are we paying utilities? I know I'm not gonna look at the mayor while I'm talking. Why are we paying utilities? Why are we giving our money to a corporation that is managing a commons? The sun is what I'm talking to you about. Now, this all makes sense in a disaster. These questions are coming from places that I hope you will never, ever have to visit. But I'm sad to tell you, my friends, it's coming your way. And if you have not had your Hurricane Katrina or your Arctic blast, you will soon. And that is the moment you're going to understand that we should have access to water. We should have access to energy. And this should not be something that we pay for. This is radical stuff I'm talking. But I want you to know I started out in corporate law, okay? Just understand that arc and understand the truth that I've had to experience in order to get to this place. These are basic things, and they all depend on the land that we're standing. I acknowledge the land of the people who we're on, because we are still living in a nation of stolen land. We are still living in a nation that has not honored treaties to people over hundreds of years. And then we have the nerve to say something about purchasing our new home, getting our new mortgage, financing our home so our kids can go to school, without any acknowledgement of whose land we're on and how we got here. This is not just about the hard work that you do every day to keep your family going. Ashe and amen to the work that you're putting into that family of yours. But this is about a bigger picture and a longer history of all of us participating now in a system that is harming not just our country, but it's harming the planet. And I mention this system because that river is part of a system. We have to understand not just the projects that we're working on to make more sustainable communities, but the system in which you are working, the economic system of this country, is required to have winners and losers. And there are more of you joining those of us who have been designated to the loser status for generations. You're starting to feel it now. And the 1% is getting larger, and the wealthy are getting wealthier. And they are looking at this climate crisis and saying, we have enough money to be okay. And that might be true. That might be true, but most of us do not. Because when the water stops, when the energy stops, you too, no matter how much money is in your bank, because by the way, the banks go down in disaster. I don't know if you realize that. But you too will be in the position that most of us are in, which is right in the middle of it. And you won't be able to escape it. And I don't mean to scare you, but I haven't figured out a way to wake people up to what is not just coming, but what is already here. I live in South Louisiana. We're losing land at one of the fastest rates on the planet. And we're losing land to sea level rise. Most folks in the US aren't even paying attention to the impacts of sea level rise across the planet. We are going back and forth to being number one and number two with Bangladesh, another river delta system that is losing its land to sea level rise. But there are whole nations that are having to move their capitals, move their cities, and move their peoples because sea level rise is happening and it's actually threatening their land. Where do you go if you're on an island nation? Where do you run? This is the status of many of the folks who will be with me in Egypt in a couple of weeks at the climate talks, really fighting for their lives, not just fighting for their jobs, not just fighting for economic opportunities, but fighting for the very land that they're standing on. We only know this reality because of what's happening at the other end of this river. This is real. This is happening, and this is urgent for all of us to be a part of. The saddest part of this whole story is the labor practices of this country and what they're rooted in. I'm coming to you from the southern part of the United States. I'm not sure if you're aware of the legacy of slavery and how it stands, but I will tell you that some of the poorest states in this country are in that same region of the South. And it is because of a legacy of slavery in this country. And it's not just the legacy of slavery, y'all, that I'm talking about. It is the philosophy of extraction at the root of our economic system. If we have to extract oil and gas, we will. If we have to extract people from a continent, we will. And all of the labor and all of the benefit will go to a few. And the very people that we depend on, we will devalue and diminish and make sure that all of society questions their value and their contribution, despite being the backbone, despite being the driver of where we got to as far as our success is concerned. This philosophy of extraction is at the heart of our economic system. We are extracting from around the world. Those cell phones that you have in your purses and your pockets are causing war in the Congo. The computers that we're using are being mined and fracked so that we can have certain materials in our computers. The comfort of your home, the energy systems, we are using as much energy in the United States. One person in the United States uses as much energy as 370 people in Ethiopia. We are driving an imbalance of this planet, and most of us are clueless about it. Most of us don't know that the rivers are in danger. Most of us don't know that we're not getting enough good rain. But when that bad rain, that heavy rain comes, it's flooding everything. The reason why I know this is because when y'all flood up here, we get the water down at the other end of the river. When there's flooding anywhere in the 41% of the United States that drains into the Mississippi, we get it at the bottom end. And we're having to release water from the river so we don't flood, because higher instances of precipitation is actually a part of the climate crisis. Who's even talking about this? We're still talking about invisible gases. No, let's talk about the rain, or the lack of rain, or the snow, or the lack of snow, or the heat that is gonna take the lives of so many people in their sleep because their electric bills are too high to run the air condition at night. That's what we're dealing with right now. This is not just a situation of polar bears, although shout out to the polar bears who are giving us a warning. When our apex predator in the snow is telling us the snow is warmed and this is not fit, you should pay attention, because we are the apex predators of this planet, and it is changing and it is real. But there are people working to build communities. There are people working to do things better. We just have to question the systems in which we're working. Next slide, please. I want to offer that you take a few things into consideration as you build your new communities. There is something called the profit incentive, and I just want to say, I don't think it's working. If we've been doing this profit incentive, dare I say capitalism, except I didn't say that. Don't worry, I won't push you too far today. Later, though, I will be talking about how we got to change capitalism. The profit incentive has gotten us to this place. It says, your main reason for being is to make money. But don't some of you in your spiritual hearts and souls just know that that's not true? I mean, don't you know you're here for something more than to make money? Look at what you've been relegated to. You have been told that your existence on this planet is about how much money you can make and how much money you can put in the bank. But I think if you resist the profit incentive, you can find something deeper. Maybe our communities can exist to keep each other safe, to keep each other healthy, to keep each other happy. Maybe we can exist as a people, not to make money for corporations, but to make sustainable lives for our people. Maybe if we resist that profit incentive, we can take away this warped valuation of life that is happening. One thing I like to say when I'm talking to rooms like this is that when I went to law school, you learn how to value people's lives. You literally learn the legal formula. Any lawyers in the house? Y'all know what I'm talking about? Okay. No, the lawyers don't want to admit that they're here. I know you're here. I know you're in the room. It's okay. It is something to, we got to work on our reputation. It's true. But let me tell you, in law school, this is how they tell you how to value life. You have to value life on its potential. So if someone were to unfortunately lose their lives in, say, 9/11, the way that the US government or whoever pays out for the loss of that is to value the potential of your life. But the potential of your life is actually, in this country, rooted in your race. Because white people are expected to actually live longer than other people. Certain women are expected to live longer than other women. And you start to see things like access to education, Educational levels is a higher value. Low education level is a lower value. But who has access to education except for the brother who's giving out free degrees? I'm just saying, I don't know, I'm moving to Iowa so I can get one of those degrees. But access to education, I want to just point out Johns Hopkins, I mean, it's kind of revolutionary to have free degrees because what you're saying is anybody can access this, which is not the same thing as saying people with resources can access this. And now you're starting to level the playing field. That's actually a revolutionary act and the kind of thing we have to start thinking about. But as we get to this valuing of life, just by the formula that exists, my life is worth less than a white woman sitting in this room today. Just because I'm black. Just the legal formula. I'm not even talking about, do you like me as a person? Are you racist? That is not the question on the table. The question on the table is, what is the value of my life? And legally in this country, my life is valued at less than my counterparts. This is a problem because we see this valuation of life happen all throughout our society. When we wonder where those polluting facilities are after we frack and drill, you wonder where those refineries are, 80 times more likely to be in black communities, 100 times likely to be in poor communities. We are specifically stating the value of life when we put those poisonous things there. And as you grow your sustainable communities, I want to urge you to look out for the false solutions that are being touted to you now. I could tell you how bad blue hydrogen is. I can tell you that carbon capture is a myth. I can tell you that all of these things are really going to harm us. We'll talk about that later, because what I really want you to pay attention to is where will these technologies go? If they're going to go in the wealthy white neighborhood, they might not kill us. But if they're going to put them again in the black neighborhood, in the poor communities, and in Indian country, you should question just how safe these technologies are, because our entire society says we can experiment and harm the people we value the least. And that is the society we're living in right now. I don't just live in Hurricane Alley. I live in oil and gas country. We're watching these technologies and we're watching right where they're putting them. They're putting them in Cancer Alley. They're putting them in places that are already overburdened. And the demand for oil and gas comes from big agriculture and transportation. We have to move together like a system of people who understands that what happens at one end of the river will absolutely impact the other end of the river. Whatever you do in your communities and in your cities, it's really important to not just think about what you can build for yourself, but how is it going to impact everything else? And this is where we have to start doing something different around the information that we take in. Now, I had a real big problem with COVID. I mean, I'm so mad about it. I'm so mad about the mask situation. I'm mad about the fact that we're not tracking this thing. I'm mad that for one moment in human history where we were actually asked to care about each other more than we cared about ourselves, we couldn't do it. And as a climate activist, I'm going to tell you, my job is to get you to believe and understand in something you cannot see and you probably haven't felt yet. And COVID was the test, and we failed. We failed to care enough about each other because we wanted to assert our individual freedom. But this philosophy of this individual freedom is a cancer on this planet. We cannot survive alone. We will not survive alone. Ask anybody who's been through these hurricanes. Ask anybody who's been through these floods. Ask anybody who is trying to make their community stronger right now. We need each other. You get to be uncomfortable sometimes. You have to be challenged sometimes. We are so comfortable as a nation that the thought of being uncomfortable for 20 minutes, for an hour on a plane was just too much for us to take. I'm so mad about it. And I'm not mad about it because I'm a big COVID activist, although shout out to those are the people who are in the room who took care of us, the EMTs, the nurses, the doctors, and the hospital workers. I am grateful. But as a climate activist, I saw two things happen. One, we stopped caring about each other and we lost our ability to really connect as a human race, as a group of people who had to see ourselves as a humanity. We lost it, we fractured. The other thing we lost was our children. When I saw parents fighting to not have their children get vaccinated or wear masks, I was thinking to myself, we just lost the kids. For a climate activist, all I can tell you is that while you might survive your lifetime, your children will have a very, very difficult time in what's coming. The NASA scientists, the Department of Defense, the White House, all of the governments that have come through the White House since 2005, they all know the risks. They all see the warnings. We are moving military bases. We are moving our ships. We are moving things around this country because the climate crisis is real. And we live in a country where there were millions, billions of dollars to just make you even question whether it was real or not. Mostly to stall you, mostly to cause chaos. And now, as folks get themselves into position, we are not ready. And not only are we not ready, we don't trust each other. We're fractured. We've done the one thing that we shouldn't have done, which is we've broken apart from each other. We're going to need each other to get through this. This is not going to be easy. And I don't just mean we have to show up on each other's doorsteps in a disaster with some food and water. Although I know that in this place of our country, those values still remain. And I am hopeful that the heartland will be able to show up in a way that the rest of the country has not, with your heart and with your connection to the people. We're going to have to get ready for this one in a different way. We're going to have to be prepared not just to show up with those immediate needs, but we're going to have to actually show up for each other in our advocacy. It's important that people in Iowa demand that the pesticides and fertilizers used on your land to grow your food aren't based in fossil fuels, because it will strengthen the argument of the people in South Louisiana who are saying, stop refining this dirty mess in our neighborhood, to which they say, but there's such a high demand. So we have to be together. We need you to demand something better. And we need you to stand behind us as we fight for our lives. And this, my friends, will be the system that we engage in over and over again. Because at some point, you'll need us, and right now, we need you. The communities that you're building need to be rooted in wisdom, not just data. Not just data. Don't be fooled by data, y'all. It's really skewed. Part of the reason the COVID situation happened the way it did, especially in the Black community, which, by the way, it was not a good situation. Not only were we dying at higher rates, but we were also rejecting the vaccine because of a lack of trust of the government, because of a lack of trust of data. When people tell me they don't want a vaccine because they don't trust the government, what do I say? You should? Look where I'm standing, in Iowa, on stolen land. Look where I live. I can't tell you to trust the government. I think that's a very rational thought you're having. I disagree wholeheartedly with you, and I think you should get the vaccine and stop thinking just about yourself and dwelling in your own fear. But I can't knock the fact that they don't trust the government because of what this history has been to my people. I have to respect a conclusion that I disagree with, but that means that what we have to start doing is not just rooting ourselves in data and in statistics. It means we're going to have to bring wisdom back, because wisdom actually glues the collective. Data breaks the collective down. So we don't just need stats. You know, everybody wants the stats. Oil and gas folks that I sat with on the governor's task force used to say, we just want to follow the data. We just want to follow the research. We just want to follow the statistics. And when we put the statistics in front of their face that says, what you're building is going to kill us, they said, well, it's not all about data. Because that's the way laws move in this country. That's the way structures move in this country. You can't just build a structure that shifts to keep the people in power who are in power. You've got to build a system. You've got to build a sustainable community that flips this thing on its head, that brings justice to the people who have been relegated to the margins, and that helps us all live through this next phase of our existence. It's going to require wisdom, which means we need the old people. That's what we call them, le vieux. We need the old people in our community. We can't just throw them away. You want to know the last folks who actually learned how to do without water, food, and scarcity and recession? You want to know who we need? We're going to need the old folks who've been through this, who know what it is to survive, who know even what it is to put a little bit of rigor in your work. Yes, I'm talking to the young people. I got some beef to pick with y'all. This is not about just what you want. This is about all of us, and some of it is hard. So get to it. We're gonna have to do hard work together, and that's okay. You've got friends in Louisiana who believe we should party after every hard thing we do. And so that's the way this goes. We work hard and we play hard, but we must work hard. And it's important that this wisdom of our old people be brought into the center. But we also need the wisdom of the people who have survived. Who has survived the worst of this country and what it has to offer? Who has survived policies and structures and leaders that have tried to decimate them? The indigenous people are here. The indigenous knowledge is here. The traditional knowledge of how we survive is here. Now, the way they do their agriculture might not be the most efficient for your profit incentive, but if you reject the profit incentive and you understand that we don't just use that river, but we honor her, then we do this in a different way. And yes, something about how you live has to change, because our country is responsible for putting 70% of the greenhouse gases in the air. That's us. We are responsible for what is happening to the planet. Can you hear me? We are not just responsible for the storms and the floods. We are responsible for what is happening to our planet. We have to change. We have to demand better. We have to do more than just address the material needs of today. We've got to be advocating for tomorrow using a systems-wide approach rooted in the wisdom of the traditional people of this land and the traditional people of my homeland, which I call Africa. You have to listen to the people who have survived, or else we will not. Because what we have gotten in this nation, yes, wealth, yes, military might, but these are tools of oppression. These are not tools of liberation. And we have to be fighting for more than a profit and more than our dominance. Right now, in this climate emergency, if you are not paying attention to the fact that we have less than 8 years before we reach a point of no return, if you are not paying attention, then you do not know that what we must be fighting for right now is our liberation. Not just our existence, not just our survival. You don't get to continue the systems that exist right now. They are wrong, they are discriminatory, they are bad. They have given us what we have right now. And this comfort that you live in, that is rooted in a state of constant fear of losing it and somebody taking it, that's what you got with this system. But liberation is not rooted in that. Liberation is rooted in a type of freedom that says, no matter what happens, I'm gonna be okay. Because I got a community, I got a crew. I have people who love me and who will take care of me. I have people who know my humanity even when they don't like me. I have gumbo with my next door neighbor who voted for Donald Trump. I talk with him and disagree with him daily. But I'm a black woman and he's a white man, and somehow we can sit at a table across from each other and have the conversation over and over again. It's possible. It's possible. I'm not telling you to do impossible things. I'm just telling you we have to do hard things, and that's different. And those of us who have been living in this society doing hard things for a very long time want to tell all of you who have been comfortable for a very long time, we need you in this game. And don't worry, it will get difficult, but you'll get through it. It's okay, it'll stretch you. You might cry and you might get angry, but at the end of it, you can survive. We will be here together. And that's how we know we win. We don't win with a gross GDP. We don't win with inflation numbers. We don't win with jobs and all of these other things. We win when we actually see each other's humanity and root everything that we do in love. Now here's this corporate lawyer up here talking about love. Ain't that crazy? Because this is the transformation that has happened to me over 17 years since Hurricane Katrina, when I saw everything destroyed, everything wiped out. And this is what happens when, after 5 years of Hurricane Katrina recovery, we saw the BP oil drilling disaster. Hundreds of millions of barrels, oil on our sand, in our marsh, in the one thing that even y'all know we got good, which is our food. The one thing that people come to South Louisiana for was full of oil, heavy crude, everywhere. And you know what they did? This government, BP, Halliburton, Transocean, They sprayed dispersants on the oil to drop it in the water column so you couldn't see it. And then they played commercials in the Midwest, in the Northeast, and on the West Coast saying the oil is gone. And some of y'all believe them. But every year in April 20th, we go and we pick up oil, still washing onto the sands, 12 years later. Because that's how much oil is in the water. And by the way, there's oil leaking all over the place. Why are we even doing this stuff? If we care about ourselves, why are we even using these technologies? Why are we even doing this? I'll tell you, 17 years has been really hard. It's been hard to watch that most people can hear me, but they don't really believe me until they have an experience of their own, and then they got it. And it's usually too late. But there's been some other things in 17 years that I haven't really anticipated. The number of beautiful people that I get to meet around this country. I'm telling you, after 17 years, I still believe that we are, at our very core, good. I've met the best people, including the man who picked me up last night in the middle of the night, Lord have mercy. I said, okay, Iowa. I remember the story of Iowans. Y'all supposed to be good people. I know that. And we got some good people in South Louisiana, too. In fact, I know for a fact we have good people all across this country, no matter the political party, no matter the philosophy. I'm talking about the core of people. We have good people here who, with a little bit of sensibility, can actually hear the truth of what I'm saying, which is, right now, friends, we need each other. We are not going to get out of this through some corporate model or a new technology. This is going to take a level of learning that most of you have been told is worth nothing. This is going to require you to unlearn all that you know about how strong you are, how good you are, how smart you are. You know a fraction of what we need to make it through this next level. But together we have all the knowledge we could ever need. It's going to take us actually believing that the people you have been told, socialized, to understand, to see as something less than yourself, are actually going to have to be the leaders of this moment. And this one's going to be hard, because mostly what you've been told is that you should question people who look like me, that you should just take it as with a grain of salt, that the leadership, that visionary leadership looks exactly opposite of me. But I'm telling you, there are a million Colettes out there. There are a million women in their communities who have been trying to build sustainable communities for a long time. You must call them. They belong in your conversation. They belong in the decision-making processes that you are going to advance for a sustainable community. If you don't call in Black and Indigenous and immigrant people, you will create the same thing that exists with just a new dress. And we cannot afford for you to make that kind of mistake. We are running out of time. Speaking of time, let me give one warning about urgency and scarcity. Urgency and scarcity are tools of colonization. They are meant to make you go past good process. They diminish and they fracture democracy, and they devalue time. They make it an efficient commodity, and it devalues it. I want you to take a moment to just contemplate what it is to have a nice dinner, a nice lunch at a table where you talk to people and you eat and you share a little bit about yourself, your kids, your parents, your spirituality. When you take the time to start slow and deep, you don't have to worry about urgency. You will leap with great bounds. You will go very far with just one step. It won't be a little incremental step. It's going to be a leap. But you have to start real, and you have to start deep, and you have to start with humanity, and you have to start with love. And I wish I could tell you that there was something you could buy in a store or something that you could just read, but I am telling you, friends, after 17 years, this is the formula. This is the formula. We are not just in a climate crisis, we are in a moment of spiritual warfare. This is going to require your faith tradition. This is going to require everything that you believe in. This is going to require your knowledge that some things, even when you can't see them, are real. This climate crisis is real. Racism is real. Structural racism is real. gender bias is real, you don't have to see it. You don't have to see it. There are enough of us who feel the strength of the thing to tell you that it is true. We don't have to question this anymore. We have to go toward a solution, and we have to go toward a solution together. The first step is for you to work on yourself. The second step is for you to rebuild your community. And the third step is for you to reach out to those of us across the nation who can admit that we need you if we're gonna win. I wanna say to all of you, this is the moment. There is no more time to waste. You have no more time to contemplate whether or not this crisis is real. It is here. We are headed to the climate talks in Egypt in a couple of weeks to stand with nations who are literally losing their place. They're losing their home. And we are bringing people from the Gulf because we are in the same situation. We have received the first federal dollars for climate and sea level rise relocation in the Gulf. First federal dollars. Y'all didn't know it was real? Well, the federal government knows it's real. And those dollars came to South Louisiana because we are already relocating people. It is real, it is here. And the next time you see immigrants on the border escaping Haiti and Honduras and Guatemala, you don't need to sit in that story, that narrative of hate about the people that don't get to come here. You need to take a look and see what's happening around the planet to where people actually have to move. Because if you believe this is about those people coming into your country, then you have not yet swallowed that all of us, at some very near point in the future, might have to do the same type of migration into safety and towards safety. We've got to be better. We cannot just remake the same system. We've got to have a whole new approach to this thing. And we've got to trust love. We've got to trust humanity. We've got to trust each other if we're going to do it. If you're ready, we're ready. If you want to get in on this, we want to celebrate with you. There's a big party down in South Louisiana that you're invited to. We've got everything you need, everything you want. As soon as we win, you're all invited, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you very much. Thank you. I didn't know if y'all were going to clap after that. I know I pushed you a little bit. Thank y'all. I appreciate that. Thank you for hearing me. I know it's tough. I don't have like a jolly message. You know, I'm a climate activist. But thank you. We do have some time for questions. I don't know how this process is going to go, but I'm here.
I have a microphone here.
Okay. There's a voice from above. I hear it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, back here.
I think your talk was unquestionable.
Ashe. Thank you, brother.
So you
Thank you for
talk
hearing me.
about like cultural elements that we need to change as a culture.
Can you just point to me where you are? I can't see you.
I'm right
Oh, okay.
So you talk about like cultural elements and how we need to change as a whole as a culture. In some ways, it's almost like we probably don't need to reinvent a wheel. So do you know of cultures today that are doing stuff right? And what would they be? So we can collectively all work together to do the right thing. Do you have any ideas on that?
A few ideas, that many of them here. Are you in Iowa?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for that question. A lot of the indigenous ways of being are the answer, to be honest. Most Americans don't like to hear that because it means a level of decrease. But the truth is, the climate crisis isn't just going to be solved with technology. It's actually going to be a cultural shift where we consume less. We are the largest consumers on the planet. Everyone wants in on the American market. It's mostly because of our wealth. It's not even because we need stuff. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have things in my home I don't need. Let me say it like that. And so the culture, the indigenous culture that is global, a global indigenous culture, is to take what you need, to take only what you need, to think about the generations that are coming after you, because you are but a grain of sand. And so that kind of cultural shift is not really welcomed by a capitalist market that is saying, you know, grow, grow, grow at all times, consume more, sell more, at least put it on the shelf so you can get the wholesale profit of the thing. And that's the state we're living in right now. I think if you get to some indigenous cultures, you'll see that it's not just that they farm a certain way, it's that they have a certain respect for the food. It's not just that people do a thing a certain way, it's that they approach it with their full consciousness. Most of us do work every day without even being fully conscious of who we're harming, of where it's going. I mean, I really am excited about your local food sourcing today, because honestly, I was thinking like I might have to, you know, boycott Big Ag by not eating the food today. But if you've got locally sourced, that's the answer. This stuff isn't even that hard. We cannot do mass consumption. We cannot do mass production if we want to get out of this thing. But I hear in Iowa and in the other states that are represented here that you love your small farmer. Now is the time. That is the movement. We need to get behind all of these small and family-owned farms, not the corporate farms, but that's what we need to get behind. And that local source of food and transportation and even housing is a way that we really think about it. I'll just tell you, when it comes to energy, I think this is going to be really interesting, because there are real technological advancements in energy that I think we're going to have to adopt. I know we are. If I ran a hospital, you know, I would say it more definitively, because there's some things we're going to need to have reliable energy sources for. But we don't need them for everything. We don't need more shopping malls that require nuclear or coal-fired energy. We could be demanding and mandating that all manufacturing and sales facilities are all mandated to have renewable energy. These are just standards. These are not even like real changes. This is just, don't get your energy from dirty sources, get it from a clean source. Now, I will say on renewable energy to be careful, because we want justly sourced renewable energy. We don't just want renewable energy that is gonna, as I said before, cause conflict in other places. And right now, that's where we are getting a lot of our source materials from other countries that we are still extracting from. We're basically using the rest of the world to get the materials we need, to manufacture them in places that give us the least amount of trouble or pushback, to then sell them to a market of people who have more money than the rest of the planet. The system is wrong. The system is wrong. But I would point to indigenous cultures around the world. They're doing lots of things right, including just taking a minute to be with the source of life, like water or food, to have tradition and ceremony rooted in something more than just their individual selves and their individual desires. That's what I would offer. Thank you for that question.
We have a question back here to your right.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Ashe.
If we look at this earth as a buffet, this morning everybody was enjoying the buffet, but nobody destroyed the buffet after they took their food out. We are first in line in this buffet, and we may destroy it for people that they are coming after us. So if we have that mentality that what happens to the person behind me, I will totally behave differently. Another issue is, if you are conservative, if you are a businessman, if you are anyone, you have a bank account. How many times you can go and withdraw from your bank account without putting anything back? All of our resources in this earth is like a bank account. You go one day over there, and there is nothing there to you to take out. So we have to look at these things from business point of view, long term, not short term, tomorrow's stock market news, but also from a buffet, from a food service.
Yeah, thank you for that, brother. And where are you located, in Iowa as well?
No, Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin.
Wisconsin's in the house. Respect, respect. By the way, I love your football team, mostly because it's co-op. That's what I heard. Anyway, which is another system we should be using, right? Individual ownership. I mean, Have you really thought about the concept of ownership? Think about it. Think about it. I mean, do you really, could you possibly own the land? In a spiritual way, that is a level of arrogance that you really should examine. If you think you can own a tree or land or water, it is not the case. I see my gentle wrap up. It is not the case. So let me offer this. In order to understand the buffet at all, we have to care about each other again. Your job is to build sustainable communities. Your first step is to build the community back. And when you build the community back, love and humanity at the center will get us where we need to go. We have a lot of things we have to solve, but we cannot solve it in a fractured state. So I say thank you again. Thank you, brother, for that comment. And thank you all for welcoming me here. It's been already great. Thank you.
Well, now you get the mayor. In all seriousness, Colette, thank you so much for that. And really, thank you to all of the keynote speakers and all the presenters here at this conference. I think there are so many words you can use to describe it, but I know for me, inspirational and thought-provoking in a way that really has forced me to stop and think about what it is that we're all doing, but particularly what it is that I'm doing as an individual and how that is impacting all of us together. And I've really appreciated that moment and that ability to do that throughout this entire time. So thank you to all of our presenters. Please join me in thanking them again.